Hey, comic book fans! Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Geezers. I am Wild Bill, your host, and sitting right next to me here is my buddy Pete Pardo.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us today. We're going to do another one of those episodes looking at a short series. This one's from Marvel that didn't quite make it, and we're going to kind of try and figure out why. That series is none other than Black Goliath. You guys might remember about a year ago or so, I think
We did an episode.
Inside the Cover, taking a look at this. This is issue number 1. So this character here, again, Marvel Comics, Bill Foster is the name of this dude. So you may remember Bill Foster was actually like an assistant to Henry Pym, of course, who's Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket, Goliath, right? He worked with him. He worked for Tony Stark. He was kind of like a scientist, lab assistant type of guy, and he was trying to help, if you guys remember back in the old Avengers when Hank got stuck as Giant Man for a while as Galactus, and he couldn't shrink back down to normal size. Well, Bill was helping him come up with a serum to help him shrink back down. And eventually, a couple of years later, he decided to use that serum on himself or some similar type of serum, and he all of a sudden now has the powers of gigantism as well. So the first appearance of Bill Foster was in Avengers number 32 in September 1966. He then he appeared multiple times in Avengers comics, and I believe in Iron Man as well in that time period in the 60s. But he would debut as the Black Goliath character in Luke Cage Power Man issues number 24 and 25. So that was really kind of his first appearance as this. And then here would be issue number 1, and this was
Got in 1976.
It's probably 76 or late 75 because it wasn't long after the.
What month is that?
So it says 75. Yeah, so it's February 75. Yeah, February 76. So it says copyright 1975. February 76 issue.
So yes, I was right about the 76, and you're right about the 75 because they was published like 3 months in advance. Of whatever the cover month is.
Yep.
So if you got it, was that a January book or February?
February. Yeah.
So of course, it's probably printed in November or October.
And interestingly enough, George Tuska was the artist here in the beginning, not for all of it, but I don't want to think for the entire issue or series. But if you remember, George Tuska was also doing the Luke Cage Power Man and also did Iron Man right around this time.
I was wondering if Kirby did any of these covers.
He did. Yeah, we're going to show that in a minute. So created by Stan Lee, Don Heck, and then Tony Isabella and George Tuska took over in the series. So here in the first, he's kind of like a street type character, kind of along the lines of Daredevil and all that sort of thing. Here's issue number 2.
He's a lot more different than Luke Cage.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because he's got the scientist side.
Right. He's not like a street thug kind of guy.
Yeah, he's never been in prison. Right. Cage was falsely accused, right, and locked up.
So here, continue on. So here we got a brand new, I'm assuming, Atom Smasher. Yeah, that's the time. Yeah, the Atom Smasher is the villain. So right away in the beginning, they go and introduce a new villain to the series, which, any new series, new hero, you got to have your own new villains, which reminds me we should do an episode like this on Omega the Unknown. So we'll park that for a future episode. But that's another one where it's like, what the hell happened here?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the 70s for Marvel was full of these series that just
That was Steve Gerber doing Howard the Duck also, right?
Absolutely, yep.
They were trying all kinds of things.
So here he's got a love interest and everything like that. The problem with this is that basically it's the same. He's got the same powers and everything's the same as, Hank Pym as Giant Man or Goliath, right? It's really not all that much different, so not very unique. But he would show up in other places. He would show up in the Champions. He showed up in a couple issues of the Champions.
He never showed up in the Hulk.
No, never showed up in the Hulk.
That would have been a good episode.
He was in issue. Marvel 2-on-1. He teamed up with the Thing for
That's another thing. This didn't do as good as the Thing, right?
The Thing solo book?
Yes.
This didn't do well at all, unfortunately. That's the problem here. This only went...
Well, because he was part of the Avengers, wasn't he?
He worked
like a stand-in?
Before he became Black Goliath, his character helped out the Avengers from like a scientific and technology perspective.
Okay.
But he was never like a member of the Avengers. So here at issue number 3, he's still fighting Atom Smasher. So again, you've got like basically 2.5 issues where he's still fighting the same villain right at the beginning of the series. And then they introduced this Vulcan character here. And let's see if we can get you some stuff here. So here he is, he's kind of like a Quasimodo. He almost looks like a hunchback type of character. Again, you've still got the George Tuska artwork, which is good. And these were pretty action-packed. But, again, you
have the whole run, right?
I got the whole run. Yeah, it's only 5 issues. But, you kind of limit yourself when you have a character who can grow to be like, 15 feet or 20 feet tall, because if you're going to be fighting villains who are all normal size, right?
Except Stiltman.
Except Stiltman. So here he is. So to answer your question, Bill, issue number 4, the cover was driven by Jack Kirby. I think that's a terrific cover. Probably the best interpretation of Stiltman I've ever seen.
His head's a little different. Zoom in on his head.
Yeah, his head's a little
because the guy... He's usually got like a helmet.
Yeah.
It's weird. His head's a little bit different.
Yeah, he's using the Kirbyisms, but, it's like... But, of course, he doesn't draw the inside. And so here, I believe it's still... So here we got Rich Buckler and Don Heck. So right now with issue 4, we're changing the whole art team once again. And now Chris Claremont is doing the writing. So right off the bat, you can see that the artwork is completely different. No disrespect to Rich Buckler and Don Heck, but, it's... And, this is, let's see how the Stiltman looks on the inside. So just to give you a little... Again, this was the problem with so many of these 70s, these new series that Marvel were trying to start in the 70s. They couldn't... Change teams constantly. Oh, that's pretty cool, right? That's a really nice splash page. So, again, now he's fighting someone his own size, right? Because, of course, the Stiltman can shoot those legs up and be, like, fairly tall-ish. I mean, that's what you were looking for, right? Yeah, that kind of looks very similar to how he did in all those Daredevil issues and whatnot.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. And Thor, right? Because, of course, he did fight Thor once as well.
That I don't have.
Enough. That's a good one. So here, pretty good stuff. Not the most compelling. I mean, I bought all these off the rack back in the day. Only 5 issues, didn't run all that long. But it just didn't catch the public's eye. So, of course, the last issue was issue number 5. And like I said, after this series would kind of die off, they would still show the character. He would show up in Champions. He showed up alongside of The Thing and Marvel 2-in-1, but just not all that compelling of a character. Because there's just really nothing unique about him. And that's one of the things, like when we'll talk about when we do the Omega series, is that so now here we got Keith Pollard, who did a lot of Thor stuff around this time. So now he's doing the artwork. So again, every issue almost, the second half, it's just all different artwork, different people working on the book. Let's see, and it's funny. In fact, I want to go to the letters page because that's probably where they announce why the series is ending, because they usually do that. All right, here we go. So I'll read it. As some of you may already know or may not know, depending on the vagaries of fan word of mouth, this is the last issue of Black Goliath. Like many other mag in their time, bashful Bill Foster is biting the dust for that most basic of reasons, namely poor sales. Though the letters indicated that there were people out there who liked what Goliath was and what Chris and his various artists were doing, they weren't enough to keep the book going in these days of ever-spiraling cost, which is sad, but which is also the breaks of the game. In parting, though we present a brief potpourri of the letters received for issues number 3 and 4, thank you all for did support the book for sticking around. Whatever. So, yeah, it's like...
Thanks for being on our show.
Exactly, 100%. Thanks for being on our show.
Sales were on the toilet.
I tell you what, though, give them credit for pulling the plug after only a few issues, because how many other ones would
they drag
allow it to spiral out to like 20, 25? Like, look at Nova, for instance.
Yeah.
Nova went to, 25 issues?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, like, Machine Man went to, like, I think the low 20s or something like that. So, but, with stuff like this, and Omega the Unknown was, 10 issues?
How far did Devil Dinosaur go?
I think that went 10 issues, right?
Yeah.
Or thereabouts, right? So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of these.
Godzilla.
Godzilla's another one. I think that went to about 20 or low 20s. But, yeah, that was another one.
Micronauts, that went a little further.
That went a little further, too. But, yeah, there's a lot of these. The 70s is plagued with these series that
the other
never
one you
lasted.
just mentioned? Omega the Unknown, 10 issues.
10 issues, yep.
Howard the Duck, 32 or 33.
Yeah, and that's kind of lengthy based on some of these other ones.
That was probably the longest out of all those one-hit.
Yeah,
those wonders.
I think so.
I call them one-hit wonders, even though they went like 6-7 issues.
But you look at like some of the earlier ones. So if we go back to the late 60s into the early, like look at Silver Surfer. That only went
18.
That didn't go 20. Namor the Silver Mariner
for bad sales, obviously, I guess.
I will never understand that one. You have to wonder, Bill, if that, because that maybe we should cover the Silver Surfer series too in doing this. I think that because so many of those Silver Surfer issues were double issues, that it was really expensive to do, and
print them.
and they just wound up, they weren't making enough money on them because most of those Silver Surfers were like, they were more expensive to buy. And I think that it was just a little bit too adventurous for what they were trying to do. Because I will never understand why that wasn't a major hit.
Yeah.
Because everybody loves that character. So I don't get it.
Yeah.
Also, going against this one, again, in today's day and age, you would never call a character this.
Black Goliath.
But they couldn't just call him Goliath because there already was another Goliath. So really, when you think about it, couldn't they have done something different with Bill Foster instead of making him just a guy who can grow big again, like Henry Pym? It's just like, it's too much of the same thing. And then, of course, they threw him in with Luke Cage, have him fight another black guy. And it just was kind of, to me, I think this character was kind of doomed from the start. I thought it was kind of cool because there were rumors, and I think he appeared in the Defenders a couple times. There were rumors that he was either supposed to be in the original lineup of the Champions, but because they also decided to give him his own series, they pulled him out of that. And then I think they wanted to make him a member of the Defenders, and that never happened either.
He would have been better in the Champions rather than have his own solo book.
I 100% agree with that because, quite frankly, I love him, but get the Ghost Rider out of the Champions and have him be in the Champions. To me, makes way more sense. I never understood. I talked about it in the Champions episode I did a couple weeks ago. I just never understood. I love the character, but Ghost Rider and the Champions never made sense, and they seemed like they never knew what to do with him in that book. He was like the odd man out all the time. It's just like, why is he here? Right? But I think Bill Foster's Black Goliath or Goliath, whatever you want to call him, would have been way better. But yeah, so 5 issues, pretty much a disaster for Black Goliath. But hey, whatever. It's another one of those short-lived series of Marvel in the 70s that most people forget about. Like, how many people watching right now are like, I never read Black Goliath. Yeah, most people didn't. That's why it got canceled. So yeah. So anyway, there you have it, everybody. Black Goliath. Let us know what you think of this character in this short series down in the comments below. If you've never read them, you could probably get these for really cheap. They're worth a read. They're not bad, right? They're not bad. It's nothing spectacular, but it's okay.
Marvel Comics.
It's Marvel Comics, right? Yeah, whatever.
Well, gang, thanks for being here, and please click the like button to help support the channel. We thank you for your comments, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Comic Book Geezers.
That's right. I am Pete for Wild Bill. Have a good one, everybody. See you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.